Perioperative management of risk factors. How do you do a perioperative management of risk factors? What are the risk factors which is very, very important to be discussed? So a patient with heart disease, whether patient is on beta blockers. What are the guidelines by American Heart Association? What do they tell about perioperative beta blockers? So these have to be stopped at least 1 week before surgery and preferably 30 days before surgery. They have to be stopped, or the dose has to be optimized. Now, there is another very controversial question. Suppose there is a patient of heart disease who is at high risk of perioperative cardiac events. There you have to start beta blockers, and it is the same timeline duration. It has to be started at least 1 week before surgery, preferably 30 days before surgery. Which all cases do you start? Which are the patients who will benefit from a preoperative or perioperative beta blocker starting? Is those who are expected to have a high risk of perioperative cardiac events, surgery-induced cardiac events, which could include patients with ischemic heart disease, those with heart failure. Yes, we will continue metoprolol. Sudden withdrawal of a beta blocker can precipitate tachycardia, can land a patient in sudden heart failure during surgery. Heart failure, women with a history of CVA, women with diabetes mellitus, those with renal insufficiency with a creat value of more than 2. So these are the about, so there is a trial based on this which is known as POISE trial, which was in 2008, which is about perioperative ischemic evaluation trial, suggested that perioperative beta blocker was associated with an increased risk of stroke. Hence, you should actually stop all beta blockers if possible, but you need to continue patients who are at high risk of perioperative cardiac events, and you need to continue these drugs. Understood? So it is a two-edged sword kind of a thing with beta blockers. So next is about cardiovascular events. When we are talking about a patient who's underwent an angioplasty or a stenting, till when will you wait for offering an elective gynec surgery? Question for you all. Suppose today patient was admitted for hysterectomy tomorrow, and on routine ECG you find STEMI was diagnosed. Patient underwent an angioplasty in your cardiac unit. When will you operate this patient now? We will continue metoprolol. No, yes, okay. So question to Prathamesh, 1 year. When will you do the surgery for this patient? Patient is having heavy bleeding and you need to operate on her. When will you do this elective case? Dr. Tejaswani, Avantika, question for you. A patient, you admitted a hysterectomy patient, you ordered a preoperative evaluation. On ECG, she was found to have STEMI. Patient underwent type of stent placed. What are the types of stent? You know, yes, Tejaswani, you are going towards the right thing. And Prathamesh, you are right to a certain extent. So there are two types of stents, which one is, question Avantika was, when will you, patient underwent an angioplasty at your center, when will you do a hysterectomy on this electively? The hysterectomy was an elective case, when will you perform? 6 to 12 months. Normal stent, and then there is a drug-eluting stent, DES. So for a normal stent, wait for at least 6 weeks before you do a elective gynec surgery. When you have put a drug-eluting stent on this patient, wait for at least 1 year for doing an elective case. So if your patient really needs an emergent surgery, ask your cardiologist, have a discussion with them not to put a drug-eluting stent and put a simple metallic stent. It's not 6 to 12 months, it is clearly 6 weeks and 1 year. Clear with all of you? I hope that question and that controversy is out. Now I want to discuss a very important thing. Once the patient, what is a steroid stress dose that you often may be encountering? Even pregnant patients with rheumatoid arthritis or SLE who you admit and you are doing a cesarean. So you often write in your post-op notes or you discuss with your anesthetist to give a stress dose of steroid. What is the stress dose of steroids? I want to ask you all. What is your understanding? What is the dose when it is given? When do you call it steroid dependence? Steroid stress dose. What is this? Why is it given? It is given to cover up. Dr. Avantika, you can also attempt your answers. Also, I want answers from Tejaswini and Prathamesh. So there are perioperative adrenal insufficiency that happens. No, that is what I wanted to know, because that is a wrong dose which we often chart. Even we give 100 mg hydrocort de do, but that is not the correct dose. Trust me. According to guidelines. But dete hum wahi hai sir. Ma'am, we will continue steroids in alpha for C-section. We do give a stress dose of steroids. Do we need to give to all patients who are taking steroids? No. Is the answer for this. So when we call, when will you suspect adrenal insufficiency in a patient? Suppose a patient is taking more than, we will give a stress dose when the patient is taking more than 20 milligram per day of prednisone or its equivalent for at least 3 weeks over the 6 months preceding surgery. So how will you remember this? It's a formula of 236. 2 into 3, 6. So 20 milligram, 3 weeks, 6 months. Clear? I hope you all will remember this 236 formula. So these are the patients who will have adrenal insufficiency in the perioperative period, and you will have to order a stress steroid for them. What is the dose of stress steroid? Now coming to that, very important, a typical regimen of a stress steroid is 50 mg of IV hydrocort perioperatively, and post-op 25 mg IV hydrocort every 8 hours for 24 hours. So it is 50 plus 3 doses of 25, 25 plus 25. So it is 75 and 1 and 50. So 100 mg of hydrocort is less dose. Remember this very clearly. A perioperative dose of 50 mg is enough, and chart a post-operative suppressive dose of 25 mg hydrocort every 8 hours. This was the most important concept I wanted you all to take back from today's class.